therapeutic community. And we are located inside the Ohio Reformatory for Women here in Ohio. And Tapestry is a very holistic treatment program for women with substance abuse issues. And it's a highly structured program. And really, the community is the agent of change. So it is the engagement, the interaction of the community members who are responsible for running the community, and the staff are really just facilitators and guides, but it's the community members who really run the course of the day in the program. And so we would have celebrated our 30th year inside the institution last year. But due to COVID, the program had about a 8 to 10 month closure, but fortunately reopened back in December. So the women of Tapestry were introduced to WAVE when I was the director there prior to its closure, because there had been a project that they had done with our women. And they were really so excited about the interaction with the women and, just the stories that the women told, that Nick and his team at the time felt like there were more stories to be told. And so that's when Nick approached our warden and myself about a potential new project that would involve songwriting workshop with the women who were in the program and their children. Pre-COVID, we had one plan, and Nick brilliantly came up with a post-COVID plan that involved Zooming. And so that's exactly what we did. We were able to Zoom the mothers in from the institution and Zoom the kids in from literally all over the country, primarily here in the state of Ohio, but we had kids that were in West Virginia, as far away as Texas. And through those workshops, they were able to create, along with the songwriters and the production team, they were able to create 6 original songs that sort of organically grew out of these sessions together with the moms and the kids, and then with the songwriters and the engineers. Fair enough? Is that a good description, Nick?
Yeah, thank you so much. So to give a little bit of a background about We Amplify Voices, since 2000, we were originally called the Dick and Jane Project, and our focus was working in schools and after-school programs. And we bring in local musicians to work with small groups of students. And over several weeks, we'd have a discussion that we would sort of create a song from. Then we'd record that song and we'd release it on local radio, and we'd share it on streaming platforms. So the idea was to kind of create a safe space for small groups of kids to share their stories, and then we would share their stories with the local community through music. And that evolved over the years into making music videos and into also doing visual art, creative writing. And as Annette mentioned, we first started working with the Tapestry community in ORW about 2 years ago, working with Harmony Project, writing a song with the sisters in the community. And we were just really encouraged by how the process that we'd always used with schools and after school programs really translated well into their program. So that kind of led to us developing this larger collaboration of trying to write a whole collection of songs, and also to include the kids of the women inside the program. And I'll also say that kind of stemmed from the sessions that we would do in schools and after school programs. A lot of the times the kids would share that they had family members who were incarcerated. So that was something that we were seeing our kids talking about in our workshops. And then going into ORW, it was, and Tapestry, we were hearing the other side of the story, and there were just similar wounds there on both sides of this feeling of not being able to communicate, being able to share sort of the isolation that they were both feeling. So kind of the idea behind this project was to connect, hence Bridges of Love, which was Annette's title, and it kind of happened organically when she was talking about what the Tapestry community does. It builds bridges of love, and that's something that they've done, all throughout their history, as part of their treatment plan. But I'll also just add, before we share the video about the project, that this was sort of the first time that we really tried to tell the stories behind the songwriting process by capturing interviews and capturing video. And I mentioned before that originally our intention was to have the kids visit the actual institution and be doing these songwriting sessions in person. Ultimately, it all took place over Zoom because of COVID. But because as Annette mentioned, the kids were spread all over the state and even the country. So our attendance, I think, was much better because of it being over Zoom. So what we have is it's 18 minutes, and this is actually the first time we're previewing this video for anyone. We had a much longer version that we originally shared when we finished the project, that included live performances of those songs. This version will just include sort of the direct voices of the women and their families, and then the songs themselves are available. You can find them on our website, or you can find them on any streaming platforms, as well as the videos of live performances. But the intention behind this video is to sort of drive home the point of the effectiveness of as a form of just as a to bring healing. And we'd love any feedback. I guess we were planning to have kind of question and answers after, so we'd love any feedback as well. This is our first time sharing this, so it'd be really helpful for us to just hear what you all think, and if there's anything lingering questions that we could try to answer in revisions of it. So yeah, without further ado, I'll just go ahead and play the video. And here we go.
A felon. That I'm not just a prisoner. I'm not just a in an institution, that I'm a person with a heart and with feelings.
Everybody deserves a second chance.
We're all just human. We're people and we make mistakes, but we can change, and you shouldn't pass judgment on others, because we all as humans make mistakes, and we're all worthy of forgiveness.
WAVE began as the Dick and Jane Project in 2011, and its mission statement was to empower students through songwriting. So what it looked like in practice was we would take local musicians into schools to work with a small group of students, and they would write songs together. And then the musicians would record the songs, and we would release them on local radio. Over the years, it developed where the students would get to go into the studio and get to watch the musicians record the song and get to be sort of the executive of the song. And then we also began making music videos and partnering with local artists to create artwork for the song. But the real focus of the workshop, while it is about writing a song, it's more about the kids having a conversation with each other about their lives, about their experiences, about what they're going through, and just being able to share with each other in a safe space.
And so this was a really unique chance for us to see the women with their families, to interact, to, you know, based on what we knew about their experiences as clinicians, to watch them interact with their children, to see the difficult moments that they had, the difficult moments that the children had, and then working that out over the course of, you know, 30 to 45 minutes, and everybody sort of settling into a good, comfortable groove, and then working to create something, which was not something that the women had ever done before. Neither had, you know, most of the children, none of us had. So this was a shared experience that we had, you know, never had the opportunity to engage in. And so I think for me, it was incredible because it's just not something that we had done in that way. And it was so meaningful and so impactful and so emotional every time.
I was just wondering how was it going to work? How was the process going to work? And I literally went into the experience with no expectations. I was like, I just don't know what it looks like, what we're going to do. And it was kind of like a therapy session. It really was. And it was empowering. And then when we heard the song for the first time, I was blown away. It was so good. It just fit so perfectly. Like, it couldn't have been more perfect. It couldn't have come together more perfectly. Even the group of people that I was with, it was just perfect.
The way the song came together and the words that had came from our mouths as we were sitting there, it was just exactly what we all wanted to hear.
It was just an amazing experience. It turned out to be a really amazing time.
And to see these children just pour out love to their mothers in such a way was just so incredibly amazing. It was like,
Mom, I'm gonna pass my heart to you.
A new gift every single time we did it.
When my dad had actually joined, right before we would go, I would always call. And Lily said, Pat, you're getting on there and seeing your daughter today. And then when I seen my dad pop up, I was like, she made him that's my dad. Like, she made him get on there. And then the next couple of times he was there because she was like, you're seeing your daughter. She had some power in her little self.
I was just excited to see her face. My phone broke, so I don't have any photos left.
I fell in love with my child all over again, like when I first gave birth to her, when I first saw her for that first time after not seeing her for a while. And she's just grown up so much more since I've been gone, and she just warms my whole soul.
I thought she was gonna say something like, let's do a Zoom and talk to each other or something, which still would have been a surprise. But this was just, I don't know, we all made a song. It was pretty cool, it was fun. And we shared a lot of ideas, so.
And at first, I was trying to look, because I just look up, I'm like, that one's mom, yeah, that one's my mom.
I felt kind of bad because my other sisters, none of their children were involved in the project. He was the only one that showed up. But they were so kind and so loving and just, so happy for me that I got to experience that, him being there.
Being able to work with her, alongside her and a bunch of others, and kind of see her perspective and kind of write something that was meant for her. When I was talking and thinking about all of the topics and the main thing I wanted to be in the song, I was thinking about her and how proud I am of her.
And during this process, her dad actually got a hold of her. Her biological father, my dad has been her dad. And I called home during this process and she said, not let alone do I get to talk to you. Now I have a dad too.
a couple things that she expressed while we were doing the Zoom, like some of her feelings and things that she felt. I didn't expect that from her. She's a very quiet person, as you saw, but she still did come out of her shell a little bit in front of a lot of people.
This group wasn't just me. It helped her find her way and know that she can say anything to either one of her parents.
And the goodbyes were the most beautiful, but also the most difficult, because in those final 30 seconds, mothers are trying to communicate literally everything that they can. It just felt like this incredibly intense moment where it's like, we're not going to get the opportunity to do this again.
I mean, nobody really wants to say goodbye. So.
I loved how the kids were so similar, and how they would say goodbye to each other, and that goodbye to each other and that bond, and just the acknowledgement that they weren't alone, that not wanting to leave, them not wanting to get off of the Zoom, and they could have kept talking. There was many a times that it just went over the time limit and they didn't want to hang up, you know, and the kids went from being closed off to just letting her hair down, and voice got, you know, more outspoken. It was just beautiful to watch.
At first I wasn't really sure because I wasn't comfortable with a lot of other people.
Well, I really didn't know this was a common thing, and there was a lot of kids that had the same situations.
At first I thought it would be like the only kid there, then I seen a bunch of other kids, and then we were answering all the questions, so I was even more happy.
But I never want to pass up an experience that comes my way, or an opportunity to do something different.
I think every single one of the songs to them, you know, again and again, you hear the women, you hear their voices, you hear their children's voices. You know, the lyrics come right out of these incredibly organic sessions. And so these songs, every time I hear them, I hear something different. I hear a different voice. I hear a child. I hear a mother.
When I listen to the song, I hear my plea. I hear my plea to my family, me begging them to forgive me and don't look back. I felt like that song was my plea, and it was the first time that I was heard. And when the song was over, I felt validated.
It was just such a unique experience, being a part of something that, like, we started off talking about our favorite candy and ended up on like this journey. Never seen myself as a creative person, but it's like being around people who just bring just positivity and creativity out of you. It was just, I feel like we all needed to be in that group. So it was designed to be a success. It was just such an amazing experience, and just seeing how little simple words that we would have never thought would have made it like where it made it. Just thinking that it did. Like, it was crazy to hear it from start to finish and know that, well, I did that.
More like, it's not like what you've been through, but it's how you come back from it, using your experiences and your make it more as a growing experience based on like empowerment, resilience, strength. Yeah, it's this great.
I wanted it to be about like what people have been through, like all of us in there, because obviously we've been through something. If our parents, mothers ended up there, it was about, you know, like the struggle living with it, having to watch it, being young and not even understanding what's going on.
No, I cry every time I hear it. Every single time I cry, just because it's the most amazing song in the whole wide world, because it's me and her song. And that's, she said it, that's me and my mom's song. And it is a blessing And that song, I believe, is going to touch a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of different ways, because it's not just meant for one way. It's meant for whatever you're going through in life.
The song had amazing range. It was very perfect. The tone was amazing. The pitch was absolutely, dynamics were amazing. And overall, it interprets the message within the lines.
To know that this was actually like my group's song, it meant a lot. Like, it was because it was coming from like inside of me, you know what I mean? Like, I experienced some of the things that were in that song, and it brought out that emotion that I never expected.
Like, I feel like I completed a journey. And right now, in this moment in time, is where I'm meant to be.
The song made me feel peaceful, like content, like we'd been heard. And then to listen to, when we, on the day before Christmas Eve there, to listen to all the other sisters' songs, it just, you know, people's had the same experience, and it brought us closer together, I believe.
I've listened to the song a couple times, and it really helped me.
They were so like uplifting, but they weren't so specific that so many people couldn't relate to it. Even something or just something to help you feel better, you could listen to the song and be like, yeah, you know, you're right. I'm where I need to be.
It was truth. I felt it was like the truth right in my face. There's people in your life that you thought were good for you and they're not. And there will still be somebody in the end. You just have to go through the changes and the emotions to get to where you need to go to find the right people to have in your life.
I definitely feel the emotion in the song. I mean, very powerful.
And something I said during the process is that it, you know, doesn't matter how far you've gone down the wrong road, it's not too late to turn around. And I feel like we've all done that. And we were all, you know, going the wrong way. But when I look back where I was and where I am now, like everything that I've there, I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of where I am today. And I don't want to go back to where I was.
I don't know, I was kind of nervous at first, but I feel like she'll definitely be better.
Every day, no matter what your circumstances or your situation, I think that anybody thinks it's a compliment when you say that you've changed, because every day you're not your best. I mean, let's be real, that we can't say that every single day of our lives we're our best. But I know that when somebody tells me I've changed, it can't be looked at anything other than a compliment, because I'm not who I was.
If it helps one person see, you know, that there is hope for, you know, to succeed, you know, whatever they're struggling with, then that's good enough for me. You know what I mean? I know that, like I said, with my emotions in it, because that's been a place where I've been. You know, I've struggled, and I've been down that road of nowhere, you know, and then you find people that actually care, and you start to come up from where you were and find out, hey, I'm human again. You know, I actually matter to somebody, you know. So if they realize and they see that they matter to somebody, then that's good enough for me, you know. So.
And I've learned how to feel, if that makes any sense at all.
I feel just so accomplished and so grateful to have been a part of this experience.
It was, to me, like a blessing, I guess, to actually hear everybody else's songs as well, and to see the emotion that was behind their songs. It was just a blessing, and it was truly an experience in itself. I'm truly grateful, though, to even be a part of any of this. Like I said before, being in a place like this, you don't expect to have any opportunities, especially something like that. And then when I heard, like I said, when I heard the songs, emotions, and I saw the emotions in the other ladies' songs when they did their songs as well, too. So it all meant something different to each one of us.
My struggles don't define me, and I am better today than I was yesterday. Like, I'm a survivor, and I'm a fighter, and I won't give up.
It was so real. It was almost like something out of a movie. It was breathtaking, and it was just a wonderful experience.
If I just walk out the door, take a breath and take control, leave everything behind, the demons and the lies, would they follow me or would they let me be? The me that I believe, the me that I can see, the me that I can see. 'Cause we realize that it's all gone. Every person you can lean on, and your heart breaks, then the rain falls like an angel. That's where love goes. Too many times I lost the war, picked myself up off the floor. I was broken, I was numb, with mistakes to overcome. Would they follow me or would they let me be? The me that I believe, the me that I can see. 'Cause we realize that it's all gone. Every person you can lean on, and your heart breaks, then the rain falls like an angel. That's when love calls. For the first time in your whole life, I can feel the walls are falling down, and forgiveness like an ocean overflows. So gather your broken dreams, now you know what they mean. Even through the night, you're walking towards the light. Can I be a witness? Can I see my way through this?
Okay, that is the video, and just wanted to apologize if there were any fireworks in the background at any point during the video. So we would love to just spend time if there's any questions kind of about the project in general, or about the video, or about any feedback for us on what we could maybe explain better in the video or have less of. Like I said, this is our first time sort of previewing it, so we'd love to hear if there was kind of like lingering questions about the project that we could try to be answering in the video. And yeah, we would just love to spend a little bit of time doing that. So if there, I don't know what, Alden, what the best way to go about that is, if putting questions in the chat or joining on the screen.
I think since we have a little bit of a smaller group, yeah, if you could just raise your hand like Ruben's doing right now, and then unmute when you have a question, I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
So I thought it was perfect. I loved it. I'm a former incarcerated individual. I did 25 years. I've been out about a year. And they had a similar program in Donovan. I'm in California right now. So they have a jail guitar door program. And I know your question is, how can we improve what I saw, but I thought it was perfect because it touched everything that should be touched. I could empathize with the individuals, and I just thought it was lovely. I just thought, and especially because I've been on these Zooms, and I haven't heard too much about women's programs, so I was very moved by just by everything, you know. So just wanted to share that. Thank you for letting me share.
Wow, thank you, Ruben. That just means so much. Having served inside the institution for almost 28 years, that just really touches my heart. I'm so grateful that you spoke on that, and I'm just so happy to hear that it touched you, and you know, lifted your spirits. And you know, because incarcerated females don't get quite as much attention, I truly appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that. Thank you so much.
So I had a question or a comment. I found myself in the dark here. We have a moms and kids program at York Correctional in Connecticut. And so it's so interesting to see the work that you're doing. And I think it's really, really beautiful work, and so great that you could have Zoom during the pandemic, because that's something that we couldn't do. And so we did booklets, but I think, and we don't know when we can go back in. So just trying to figure out ways that we can continue to energize the connections. But I had a question about when the Palace Theater, when they went to the theater, it wasn't clear to me what that interaction was. Were the families there with their kids, and were the women able to interact? Because you sort of saw them separately in their pictures. The photos were separate. So I didn't know whether that might have been regulations or whatever, but I just wanted to know a little more about that.
Well, I can speak to the correction side of things. We've been really fortunate over probably the last maybe 8 to 10 years that we've been engaging in a lot of art impact kind of programming, and because of just the amazing women that we've had in leadership roles, our wardens have been, you know, the types of individuals who find reasons to say yes. And so we've had the opportunity to actually take the women out of the institution. And so our women have sung at places like the Palace Theater. They've sung at just myriad venues in and around Central Ohio, the Columbus Zoo, the Columbus Commons, the Ohio Theater, just the Nationwide Arena, which is probably one of our biggest venues. And so when Nick decided that there was going to be this, you know, release event, you know, we just pitched the idea even during COVID, you know, to the warden about the possibility of being able to maybe bring some of the women out to the venue. And we weren't really sure if it was going to fly, particularly given all of the restrictions, you know, that were going on. But they ran it right up to the very top. And the director said, those women need to be there. If their families are going to be there, they need to be there. Yes, they were kind of a surprise, you know, due to all kinds of security issues. They had to be brought in ahead of time. They had to be up in the sort of in the mezzanine area. And so none of the families really knew that the women were there. So just before the video started, Amber asked everyone to come forward and then look up. And so that's when the children for the first time saw that their mothers were there in attendance. And no, they could not be physically together close together, they were all, you know, in the room where it happened.
Right.
So we were able to kind of make that magic together, you know, with the moms actually being there with their children. So yeah, that was pretty magical, and it was a tremendous surprise to be able to give the families.
Yeah, beautiful. Really, so wonderful that you were able to manage that. I mean, really incredible, and incredible that you're able to just have the women go out to these different places. I mean, that I don't think would even be close on this end, but so beautiful that you're getting there. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's something that we were always incredibly grateful for.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything that we were doing 8 years ago. So, you know, anything could happen. 8 years ago, I would have never dreamed. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
like I said, anything is possible. Hope
Absolutely.
floats.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
And I'll just add too that originally we thought that we weren't going to be able to say that the women were there in the theater, and that we were just going to have to let them be there. And then on the night of the event, the I think it was just the lead security person was just like, no, you're not gonna tell their family do whatever you want to do, you know. So it's kind of it was just a great surprise that we were able to do that, because originally we were planning that they would just be there separately, not knowing that each other were there. So we were very grateful for that.
Yeah.
I also wanted to just touch back on something that Ruben had shared, and thank you so much again, Ruben, for sharing. You mentioned Jail Guitar Doors, another organization I think that's on the West Coast, and yeah, we're familiar with them and have been introduced to, and they're just doing amazing work. And I hope did you get the chance to work with them too? Oh, sorry, I think you're on mute, Ruben.
Yeah, exactly what you said in the beginning, how you know, it was a project about this, but then you have to then you interacted. Everything you described, that's Jail Guitar Door. You know, we sit down, they provide us with a guitar. I never played music in my life, and not only did they teach us how to you know, write music, but they also lend us a guitar. And there was plenty of people who play guitar that became instructors just because they wanted everybody to you know, to be involved in music. And you know, I was like a turtle, man. I was really shy. And I remember one time I was in class and I was playing, and I started singing, and the instructor, that's right, Ruben, sing your heart out. And I caught myself, I like, ooh, did I just do that? And it just showed me how to be expressive. And I mean, it was beautiful. So when you described everything, I was like, wow, you know, this is a beautiful thing. And then you added the element of children bonding with their mothers, man. And that's like the you know, the topping on the cake, man, you know. So yeah. So the director is Rob Bird. He's also the liaison for the DA's office over here in San Diego. So yeah, I'm still in contact with him. If you'd like to get his information, I'll be glad to pass it on to you.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Ruben. I was connected a while back, but I don't know that we actually ever got the chance to connect. And I just went through everything that they've done and was just blown away by what they're doing, and just hearing firsthand from you the impact it had. That's beautiful, man. That's exactly what you know, what we see with the power of music, how it can just, you know, bring things out and you can't get to any other way. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. Jesse had asked just a little bit ago about the role of trauma-informed healing centered engagement in the songwriting process. And I'm realizing that's something that we didn't really address at all in the video. But Amber Nicole, who she was the vocalist that you hear on the last song, and she's featured a few times throughout She was one of the lead facilitators with us in each of the workshop sessions, and she was trained through the Center for Mind Body Medicine in these different mindfulness and meditation activities that are trauma informed that we would use in each session of the workshop. So we kind of embedded these different activities as part of our process. So we'd begin each activity with breathing, and then we'd have a guided meditation through, and close again with breathing. And we just kind of pause at different moments throughout the workshop if someone was having difficulty, and we'd breathe together. And we just kind of wanted it to be passing on those techniques as part of the workshop, but we also kind of embedded them to be part of the creative process too. So sort of some of the conversations that arose in sharing about how everyone was affected by the different activities actually became part of the lyrics that were in the songs. So we kind of we wanted to share those activities as resources for the women and for the kids to be able to use, but then they were also kind of embedded as part of the creative process. And I guess I'd like to put out too, if does anyone have experiences either with Center for Mind Body Medicine or with using that kind of meditation, mindfulness, and other programming, and just anything to share kind of how that's worked for you? Or
Okay. I just briefly share a little bit, just because we do movement with all our workshops with the women and with the moms, a little bit of movement, a little bit of breathe. It's definitely breathing and that kind of thing. And there are movement interactions that the moms do with the kids when we have visits. It's always really helpful, and that's a part of all the workshops that we do in different settings, moms and kids, or a performance group. So it definitely, I think, is a really important component before any activity, to just kind of move together to get in touch with one's body and breath. So yeah.
If I could just share, just I think another amazing phenomenon, if you will, that grew out of this workshop. Their life was continuing to happen because this took from about September when we started the sessions, and we would do 2 every Saturday for, I don't know, 6 big Saturdays. And then interviews that we would do with the women. And during the course of this whole project, things were happening for the women and for the families. We actually lost one of the dads that was, engaged and there with his sons. And he was there with his sons on that Saturday morning. And by Monday morning, we found out that he had suffered a heart attack and was gone. And so there were these children that were suffering, and there was this mother incarcerated that was suffering, and just the sense of community, family, in embracing the sisters, embracing their sister, and sort of lifting her up and helping her through, and the kids supporting one another. Nick got busy and made sure that, that family was tended to take care of as much of their needs as we could support. There was a song that this particular gentleman was, incredibly fond of. And Nick made sure that there was an artist who actually performed that song, and it was dedicated to his memory in the actual release event. You know, so, and the family was there to be able to share in that. And so 2 of the women that you saw that were incarcerated when the session started got their freedom. And so you see there, you know, the women that that were out and a couple of women that were still, so probably 4 of those women that were incarcerated at the time are now home, and, you know, starting to work on reuniting with their families. The kids, some of the kids still work together. We do, you know, groups on Saturdays. So these kids from all over, you know, sort of connect with one another. They've developed their own community. So just sort of this beautiful, you know, community and family that grew out of this project that continues to this day, which I think is no small thing. I think it's pretty amazing stuff.
So looks like we just have about 10 minutes left. We're planning to kind of talk just a little bit about other projects that we're developing at the same institution over the next year, and just share a little bit about that. So we have a really strong working relationship with Ohio Reformatory for Women. Annette served as the director of the Tapestry program there for many years. And so supportive. So we're developing a program right now with where we're hoping to work with a group of women who are serving longer sentences. And Annette, would you want to share just a little bit about that? And I also saw that Jason asked in the chat a link to hear recordings of the song, so I'll track that down and put that in here now.
Yeah, terrific. So this group is actually called the Life Group. And these are women who are serving either life sentences or longer sentences, usually minimally 15 years or more. And so, you know, their opportunities are sometimes limited because a lot of the programming is directed towards individuals who are doing shorter sentences. And so these women need their voices amplified. And they've been a group that we've wanted to work with for quite some time. And so we sort of put together, and I believe Dr. Glover is on here somewhere because she's a big part of this, where we are going to do not only a workshop with the women, so songwriting will be involved, but also there is a video team there at the institution that was just starting as COVID came about. And so it limited their opportunities, but teaching the women about, you know, making videos and, you know, how you create. And so we wanted to be able to try to tap into that. And so we're actually going to be not only doing a songwriting workshop, but also letting the women in the Life Group tell their stories their way. There's going to be art that's involved in it. We're talking about art installations and how the community will be able to interact with their work. So it will be their stories that will be filmed by them. They'll learn about editing, and they'll learn about storyboards, and they'll learn about you know, how to tell their stories. And so it's really kind of just a huge project, and also something that's never been done before with this particular group of women who have such amazing stories to tell, including about what it's like to know that this is where you're going to spend the rest of your life, but how they then engage in giving back to the women who are doing shorter sentences and how they work to improve the environment there in the institution. So we're just so excited about it because we just believe it's going to be so incredible.
And then there's one other project that we're working on developing as well. Now that things are starting to be open again to in-person volunteers, we're kind of shifting to some hybrid programming. So another is collaborating with the Goodwill Adults with Developmental Disabilities program. They have an incredible art studio program in Columbus, and they we're planning to collaborate with them, with the women in the tapestry program at ORW, partly over Zoom and partly in person, to create a visual art project together. So it will kind of be designed in the same way as Bridges of Love, where we'll sort of embed the safe space dynamic there of sharing and sort of incorporating that into the artwork that they create together. So we're really excited that we're able to be in person a little bit again and testing the waters there, and also moving into different mediums. Up to this point, we've mostly focused on music as our medium that we would collaborate with groups with, but we're really trying to do a little bit of everything and just give each group an opportunity to discover their voice in different mediums, and finding new ways for us to share that. And also, as the core part of our mission is to present the stories of those we work with to a community of people. So it just really helps our mission the more that people are able to hear about our organization and just to follow our social media accounts. So we just always appreciate any help in sort of helping these stories find people that need to hear them, I guess. And then Marlene asked, how can we get updates on the project working with lifers, creative writing, teaching artist and filmmaker. So we just finished applying for a grant for it. So we're hoping to start in September. So we will, Marlene, if you wouldn't mind, I'll include I'll include my email address here in the chat. So if you'd like to follow up, would love to connect with you about that. And please, anyone else, if there's anything else that you think of after this, we'd love to connect with you. And we're really just trying to push the boundaries as much as we can as far as what we're able to do inside of the institutions. And I know we're getting down to the end of our time here, so I just wanted to thank everyone so much with the for having us, and especially Jesse and Alden and Katie. Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure to be with you all.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Nick and Annette, for being here with us tonight. A big Zoom round of applause. It was a beautiful film, and I will be listening to the album after this. I hope everyone else will. And also a huge thank you to Rory and Ryan from Pro Bono ASL for interpreting tonight, especially during the song. That was beautiful. And I want to say thank you so much for attending. And if you learned something new today, or if today's session inspired you or challenged you, we would really appreciate it if you could donate to the Justice Arts Coalition, and funds received during this convening will be put towards compensation for presenters, prioritizing increased honorariums for carceral system impacted presenters. So I'm sending that link for donation in the chat. And also, if you'd like to stay connected with Jack and our network of teaching artists, activists, and others doing inspiring work at the intersection of art and justice, you can follow the link that I'm about to send in the chat to connect with us via email, volunteering, or social media. And be sure to check out our open space and all of the wonderful programming that we have tomorrow. And thank you all for being here, and have a restful night.